Hello, hello, hello. Happy Thursday. We've got the team here to answer your poll questions of the week. Okay, we're still there. It just glitched. So this week's questions, we've got, what is most important when selecting a real estate agent?
So what do y'all think?
What do we got?
So for me, it's actually something that I fight against pretty hard with being a new agent. So experience and knowledge is one of the biggest things that you probably want to make sure that your agent has. And because I'm so new, I have to fight against that a little bit, just because I've got a team behind me that's there to help me with any questions that I may have, and to make sure that I'm doing everything correctly, and to make sure that I have the knowledge that I have to move forward. But it's definitely something that's a struggle as far as like getting over that stigma.
Yeah. Once you get into like year 3 and get some transactions under your belt, that definitely helps. But having the team, gives you that support and knowledge to fall back on, so you always have us to answer any questions that you get hung up on. I think personality is a big one too. Finding somebody that you just genuinely like to work with, that's personable, and that you enjoy going and browsing homes with, or having in your house to list your house. Trusting them to promote your house in a pleasant view and manner. Just having that trust, personality.
Yeah, personality is definitely a big one too.
I agree. I tend to stay with a lot of blue collar workers, and they enjoy working with me because I had 15 years in a blue collar field. So, and as a blue collar worker, I like to work with guys that weren't showing up in a suit and tie every day.
Yeah, relatable.
Very relatable people.
Yeah, that was actually a funny debate I had at one of the offices, where somebody used to tell me that I was going to drive away business by always wearing a suit and tie or always being dressed up. And my rebuttal to that was, all right, so if you dress the way that your neighbor's dressed, do you trust the guy who mows his lawn all weird across the street to sell your house? So it's kind of, I had a little different experience with that, but I do like to set the bar with that from time to time. I do agree with that. You need somebody who has a great personality, somebody you mesh with well, because if their humor isn't your humor, or they're too serious and you're more of a funny type person, it could really make the transaction a little bit more difficult than it needs to be. Also, I consider like, how resourceful is that agent? Is that somebody who can get answers to you, or do you hit a lot of roadblocks? So when you ask them something like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. If they're that type of individual and they won't go find that answer for you, you might want to search for a different agent as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, real estate's different every day. So even once you're more experienced, sometimes maybe we don't hit a roadblock, but we like to talk to other people just to make sure that we're seeing this and interpreting things the same or correctly, and just sometimes getting another perspective. So yeah, having the support and just knowing where to go to get the answers, being resourceful, I think is a huge trait for what you should look for in an agent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%.
And based off that personality of that agent as well, you can kind of get a forecast of where this is going, what type of individual they are, and how long they will actually be in the business.
Yeah.
So
I think a big one too to look for is what's your preferred way of communication, and does your agent respond to you in that way?
Yeah,
So if you want to talk to your agent on the phone, are they going to answer your phone calls? Or or if they don't answer your phone calls, if you want to text, when you text them, are they calling you back every time, and you prefer text? So just to have that preferred way of communication and make sure your agent's going to communicate with you in that way.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
all right, the second question we have, which is the runner-up, is how much money should I have saved? So how much money do you need to go into the buying process? What do you think?
I think that varies too. It depends on, are you a first-time home buyer? Because first-time home buyers have a lot of benefits as far as getting assistance with closing costs and things like that. So it's a lot of real estate questions are situational. That's why the whole coming up with a good agent is an important thing too, because you have so many different situations that you're going to run into.
Yeah.
Investors typically 20% mark, 20% of what you're buying a house for most investors. if you're wanting to finance that
Yeah,
route.
15,
15,
10, I've
20.
even seen some.
Yeah,
go as low as
depending on
10.
what banks you go with, but 10 to 20 is your go on investing into rental properties or any commercial properties that you're looking at.
So 10 to 20% down coming into the picture.
As an
Kayla,
investor, first-time home
investor.
buyers, you know, you're
Yeah.
gonna get your, there's a lot of, first-time home buyers assistance, you touch the grants and such to really reduce those costs, but interest rates have driven them up
Yeah.
just a little
With-
bit.
With the grants they have in play this past year, I've had multiple clients go in with bringing $0 to the closing table.
Mhm.
I mean, there's,
It's doable.
And that's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say too, is that, in some cases, you actually don't need to bring any money to
Yeah.
closing. If you have a great loan, if, the sellers are gonna pay your closing costs, everything is negotiable when it comes to real estate. So if you are a great negotiator, then you actually don't need as much money as you think you do to buy a house. Now, if you're getting into the investing world, like, Shawn was saying, you might wanna bring a percentage down, what are we saying, 10 to 20%?
10 to 20% depending on the banks.
Yeah, somewhere in there. And it's like Kayla said, it's also a situational thing. We have a lot of down payment assistance programs. We have a lot of grant programs. If you have an agent who is resourceful, like we said first, they can show you these options and help you make those decisions.
Yeah,
Mhm.
make sure that you're getting the best deal possible. So-
Right, yeah.
Mhm.
And always, always touch base with your agent. A lot of the agents will know, last year, I think they might still be going on, like firemen, first responders, stuff like that, different things, they're going in with 0% down as well. There's always some sort of benefit for something. And it's just up to your agent to find that for you. And most agents do know. We get regular emails from lenders just stating what they are offering, and if you have a good agent, they'll find it for you and they'll get you a low down payment, get you into a house quick.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, different lenders have different options, so your agent's gonna be your best bet and, guiding you to that person and giving you those options, telling you where you need to look to get your best deal that works for you.
Now, we did have one last question that got a few votes. I know Shawn was very inspired about this question. Do I need to get an inspection? So what do you think, Shawn?
I've never not recommended an inspection. Anybody buying a house, absolutely get an inspection, because you could have the most immaculate house that you could find, something could possibly pop up, and you want to know it before you're in it, and then it's on you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to run from the house if something bad comes up. There's also multiple ways of negotiating that to where you can get yourself into the house still with the repairs being made by the sellers.
Mhm.
yeah, and not everything that gets flagged on an inspection really needs to get repaired. I mean, homes are like the people that live in them, they're all different, and home ownership comes with its own responsibilities. But the home inspection's going to find and highlight any unforeseen issues, that you might not have been aware of, or larger ones that you wouldn't want to get stuck underneath of by not having the home inspection.
Depending on the type of loan that you have, though, the inspection is very important too, because if something comes up in certain situations with certain loans, it'll kind of cause issues with you moving forward with your loan too.
Then you have the appraiser after that. So, well, depending on if it's a finance offer or not. If you have a finance loan through a bank, you will have an appraiser. So it's kind of like your second inspection coming back. So you will have a second set of eyes being on them. But when we're talking to Shawn and Lyndsay, they have a little bit more experience in the investor world. So when you are making cash payments, when you are going into investment properties, you might want to actually have these reports, because they're gonna tell you a different story about a property that you don't plan to actually live in versus one that you do plan to live in. And those things might have a drastic difference for you and your decision process.
Yeah, especially if you're doing, like a fix and flip, then that inspection report is going to spell out some of the concerns that you might have. If you want to sell it to an FHA or USDA buyer, you're gonna wanna make sure that you've taken care of all the electrical repairs that you would need to then go past, an appraisal, in the future, so.
Right. Yeah. I think that's everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything else?
So throw your questions in the poll. We post these every week. Anything you want to know about the real estate process, that's what we're here to do, to help you guys understand this, give the answers you're looking for. We don't know what you want unless you ask. Otherwise, we're just making content just for people. We do want to make this a space that everybody can feel comfortable talking. Please share with your friends and family, because we're trying to answer questions, get more people into home ownership. The more people in home ownership, the better the competition, the better the service. And I believe we're gonna have that as this keeps continuing.
Absolutely, and feel free to, if you're even considering buying and just throwing it around, tossing it around, feel free to call any of us.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
be
it's a
happy
great
to
time.
talk to you, one-on-one.
Set some goals
anything.
for the new year.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Well, until next time, you guys.
See ya.
See ya.
My shoes. Is that what you're saying?
I was like.